my husband's parents have a 5-acre property 10 minutes from the city with a shed that my husband had converted into an Airbnb cabin for them
Yeah.
5 years ago as a means of income.
Mm-hmm.
So Jack had done that sort of for his parents, and that was really great. And we were like, okay, well, how about we rent the Airbnb and, we can own a home and have an investment property, and we don't have to live there
Mm-hmm.
because it's not where we want to be living. We want to be
Yeah.
living here. So we still have an investment property, and that's fine. But
Yeah.
instead of us paying that mortgage, we have a renter paying that mortgage, and then we pay the rent to live in our small house.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we said, can we pay whatever you make from Airbnb and we'll rent this little house off you? And
Yeah.
now we've got, 5 acres of property that we get to share with his family. We get to be together every
Yeah.
day.
Thinking about building or renovating? Or maybe you are already knee-deep in a project now. Are you feeling unsure of which steps to take and if you are making the right calls? You're not alone. Welcome to Builders Beyond Borders, the podcast where experienced Aussie builders share real stories, insider tips, and practical advice so you can build with confidence, avoid costly mistakes, and actually enjoy the journey. Let's dive in.
Welcome to another episode of Builders Beyond Borders. I'm your host for today, Louise from Private Construction Services over here in WA. And we have the lovely Madison from Tasmania joining us as a special guest. So welcome, Madison.
Thank you so much, Louise. It's lovely to be here.
So Madison, the reason why we've invited you to be a guest on our show is because we know that you've got first-hand experience with living in a granny flat, as we call it. And I'm not sure what the terminology that you may use for it, so we'll dive into that. But yeah, we know that it's a really good, or it's an up and coming way of living, and it's just really to be able to give the listeners some insights into what life is like, perhaps living in a granny flat or modular home or pod, as some people might call it as well. And it's just really diving into how you can maximize space, with the area that you live in, how you can create a more flexible and connected lifestyle. And just whether you're considering a granny flat for whatever way that you're living, whether it's a cozy retreat, it's for an independent living solution for elderly families, a growing family. And so we just like to find out a little bit more about that. In Western Australia, and specifically Perth, we have a bit of a housing crisis at the minute in the terms of, it's really hard to find a rental. The market it's really difficult to buy a home. So a lot of people that we find coming through here are that are looking for granny flats are looking for their adult children, and just to give them that bit of space, freedom from the house, and just a bit of a solution to the housing crisis. So let's get started with you. So how if you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to living in your home, which is a granny flat.
Yeah, totally. Okay, no worries. So my name's Madison. Yes, I'm from Tasmania, and my beautiful husband is Jack, and he's actually a tradie. He's a builder. It's just him and I and our golden retriever, Sunny. I've got a baby on the way now, so we will be having. Thank you. We'll be having a baby in our granny flat as well, which is cool. So how we kind of came to living in a small space was we had done the traditional buy a house, live in the house. Our first home was sort of out of the city a bit to find something we could afford whilst, not biting off more than we could chew with a mortgage. So we decided to play it smart, buy somewhere where the investment would pay off. But that obviously meant a lot of driving to get to where we lived.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it's a big commitment, and it's a lot to buy a house and especially have to commute and all of that kind of thing. You're giving up a lot of time in order to pay a big mortgage, in order to do the thing that everyone does. And I like to think that my husband and I are interested in exploring other ways of living. So we actually decided that we were going to go traveling I work from home. I run an online business, and my husband being a tradie, he was able to take some time off. So we decided that we would go traveling for a year.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, we needed to rent out our home and get rid of our cars and our furniture and anything that we owned. So we actually got rid of everything. There was nothing we kept apart from special things like my wedding dress and artwork
Mhm.
and stuff like that, which is all at my mum's house, which she's moving house right now, and she's not very happy that she's got all of my.
She's carting all your stuff with her.
Is that not the job of a mum, to keep all the
Absolutely.
kids stuff in all the spare bedrooms?
Yeah, yeah, up in
Um,
the attic space,
exactly. That's what I've said. I've said those wardrobes are for me, so you just keep all my stuff and move it with you. Thanks, mum. So we decided that we were going to go traveling. We ended up traveling for about 7 months before we were like, okay, that's enough. What are we doing? We feel like we want to settle down now. And our options were to move back into our home that we own that, was a bit out of the city that we had to drive and commute to town and all of those types of things. Or my husband's parents have a 5-acre property 10 minutes from the city with a shed that my husband had converted into an Airbnb cabin for them
Yeah.
5 years ago as a means of income.
Mhm.
So Jack had done that sort of for his parents, and that was really great. And we were like, okay, well, how about we rent the Airbnb and, we can own a home and have an investment property, and we don't have to live there
Mhm.
because it's not where we want to be living. We want to be
Yeah.
living here. So we still have an investment property, and that's fine. But
Yeah.
instead of us paying that mortgage, we have a renter paying that mortgage, and then we pay the rent to live in our small house.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we said, can we pay whatever you make from Airbnb and we'll rent this little house off you? And
Yeah.
now we've got, 5 acres of property that we get to share with his family. We get to be together every
Yeah.
day. Jack
Oh.
gets to be with his mum and dad every day, which is lovely for him
Yeah.
and for me as well. And Sunny, our dog, has, 5 acres of land to run around on, and it's just glorious. We're so
Yeah,
close
and
to where we want to be. Yeah.
absolutely. What a great way. Like by just flipping your mindset and not conforming to the norms, I suppose. Like you're in this place where you're surrounded by nature. I've seen some
Mm,
pictures of where you're living. And it's fabulous. And you've got a shorter commute if you need to go into the city. You've got that investment, so you've got a bit of a property portfolio growing. So it's
mm.
just a different kind of way to the social norm, but I mean, like a really smart way of living. And how are you feeling, or how's the relationship with family living in that such a close proximity? How do you find that?
We love it. I think Jack's parents are like my best friends, and Jack is really close with them. And I know that not every family is like that, but in mine and Jack's families, we're all really close, and family's probably like the most important thing to all of us. So being
Yeah.
together is important, and us raising our kids here with family and that kind of thing. Yeah, it's perfect for us. So we have zero issues. It's just all positive, really.
Yeah, and how awesome then you have somebody right close at hand for when the new baby comes along.
Exactly.
That would
I
be
might say, I
beautiful.
need to have a shower. Can you please hold the baby?
Absolutely. That would be really good. So how did you
Yeah.
find, obviously it's a smaller space. It's not like your, the I'm gonna assume a bigger house that you've lived in. How did you
Yeah.
find living in that like, yeah, a finite area and getting all
Yeah.
the things into it? Minimalist, I
Mm.
suppose.
We were in a 3-bedroom home before we moved. As I had said, we had gotten rid of all of our stuff.
Yeah.
So moving into the cabin was easy because I didn't have anything to put in there. So we have only collected things that we have needed for the small space.
Yeah.
And there's something really freeing about going, okay, we're going to ditch all of this stuff,
Mhm.
take all of the money, spend it on a holiday, or,
Yeah.
just save it or spend it on investment or something like that, and then just live in a small space and just buy the essential things that you actually need.
Yeah.
I think everyone knows what it feels like to move from house to house if you ever have, and you're like, how did we possibly get this much stuff? Um,
Absolutely.
but you just don't need it. Like we just have the things that we need. We have one, we've got a can opener and, we've got, a small fridge and it's
Mhm.
all that we need. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's actually really easy.
Yeah, I think that would be a lovely way of living. You do collect so much rubbish really, you know what I mean, for your
Yeah.
houses. So that minimalist way of living, yeah, it sounds really great. So what I know that the bigger adjustments were that of moving into that space. You had already done that because before you had gone on your holidays. But did you find that there was any more adjustments that you had to make with living in a smaller space than what you had been accustomed to before?
Well, it's hard for me because I'm a woman who loves clothes and shoes, and I like nice things, I've just had to be quite strict
Mhm.
on myself with I don't need another pair of this. I don't need another. It's more about what fits, and we've just had to
Mhm.
be really smart with the things that we buy. And if we
Yes.
don't need, we don't have it. But I do feel maybe a bit lucky because in the house that I'm sitting in right now, this is in Jack's parents' house. I have an office space, so this is
Okay.
outside of Granny Flat. I'm like sharing the house with them. I have my own
Yeah.
office, and there's a wardrobe in here as well. So I do have extra coats and dresses, shoes
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
So I'm not truly living just in that small space. I feel like we have some stuff spread out. So I have things in my mum's house and things in my mother-in-law's house, and they just all house all my things.
Yeah, yeah. But I think it's a good way. You
Yeah.
could also think about that. Did you find that you maybe see you're saving a little bit more money by living that way as well? Because you are really mindful of like, actually, I don't need that extra pair of shoes. I don't need that extra jacket.
Mm.
Do you find anything like that?
Oh, definitely. Like we've had more money to do things that we want to do rather than just
Yeah.
buying stuff. Yeah, it's more
Yeah.
about a lifestyle for us now and um,
Yeah.
being able, like Jack's doing work at home at the moment and, he's able financially to just be at home and do this because we don't have all these huge, big fees that we pay. We've set ourselves
Yeah.
up well financially and,
Yeah.
me working from home, I don't have to put heaps of pressure on myself to make more money because
Sure.
just chill. The lifestyle
Yeah.
is really
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
Absolutely, and with it, you talked about adjustments, moving into that, granny flat. What about the adjustments now with the baby? Like, what are you like? What's your future plans looking like?
Yeah.
Obviously, a granny flat's been suitable for you and Jack, but now you're going to need a little bit
Yeah.
more space. What are your thoughts and future plans with that?
Yeah. I'm not the best at numbers, but I think it's 60 square foot. Does that sound about right for a small kind of shed? 60
Yeah,
square
yeah,
feet?
it could be. Yeah,
I think
yeah,
I think that's how big our cabin is.
yeah,
It's like, there's a bed, a couch in front of the bed, and the kitchen's next to that, and a toilet and bathroom. That's it.
yeah. So
So
one bed granny flat.
one bed granny flat. Yeah. So Jack's actually extending up, putting on two bedrooms.
Wow. Okay.
So we're investing a little bit of money
Hmm.
into making this space a little bit bigger so we can stay and continue living the lifestyle that we want to live. If we were renting, because I like the idea of buying houses and then renting where you want to live as well,
Yes.
for lifestyle purposes. But I think if we were going to be renting or buying a house anywhere near as amazing as this area and this space, we would be paying so much more money. So it is quite a smart financial decision for us to be able to stay here, just add on two bedrooms so we have a bit more space because it's possible. I mean, you can have a baby anywhere. They're only tiny, but they get bigger.
Yes.
Um,
Very
so
quickly.
and very quickly, exactly, and there's really not much floor space as well,
Yeah.
so, we wanna have a bit of space for them to move and grow and all that kinda stuff, so, yeah, we're just adding on a couple of bedrooms, and that's gonna be where we'll
Awesome.
be, so it'll be 2 bedrooms with the little dining sort of it'll still be really small, but bigger, bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. No, that's really clever and a great,
Yeah.
again, look, you're lucky with the space that you can extend on and
Mm.
some granny flats that we see then as well, there you can get the one bedroom, the two bedroom, and then yeah, there
Yep.
is all other aspects that you can add on for your storage purposes if someone wasn't, fortunate enough to have family or other storage solutions that there are these solutions that can be had. But that sounds really clever. Has it ever been a consideration where, and we've come across people that have considered this, that yes, it's suitable now, but again, as your family potentially grows, and I'm going to say Jack's parents, would there ever be a thought of swapping in the future where you're going to be able to take that bigger house and then they can like downsize?
Yeah.
Has that ever been thought about?
Before we moved in and discussed all of this, we did talk about that because we were like, okay, if we move in, how long is this for? We want to be together and as close as possible forever, and have our
Yeah.
families know each other and live in like that kind of way with your family really close by forever. So how do we do that? And the idea was, yeah, well, eventually, this big 4-bedroom home on this 5-acre property might be too big for just 2 people. And our family might be going from 2 to 5, and so, yeah, we have talked about swapping at that time, and they would have the granny flat or the 2-bedroom, and we would
Mhm.
have the 4-bedroom, and that's also like a really good support financially as well for both of us. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a new way of doing things and a new way of living, but it
Yeah.
means that, they'd be able to stay on this beautiful property for forever. Why would you need to
Yeah.
go anywhere else? Even like
Absolutely.
it's a big house, but you still want to stay here and live where your home has been, that they built this house. This is their home. So, yeah, that
It's
is
a
definitely
great
an option for us. It's a thought. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just about those like ideas and solutions for people to consider that, that if you do want to downsize, that you can still stay where you want to live, where you've lived, where you've, grown up and you've created your own family, and that you don't have to move away, that you can stay there, but you can still downsize. Your house is too big, you can still downsize, or just like that, you can do a swap over or whatever
Mm.
that might look like. But yeah, it's just an awesome way to consider a new way of living, I think, In terms of anybody that was thinking about building or moving into a granny flat, would you have any advice for them, Madison?
I would say to make sure that the bathroom wall goes all the way to the ceiling, unless
Mhm.
you want to hear everything that goes on in the bathroom and lose all romance forever with your partner. Um, there's zero mystery anymore. It's just like
Secrets to a good marriage, huh?
you just gotta laugh. Yeah, it is. Um,
Or get some noise cancellation headphones.
yeah, absolutely. We started with that and then it moved on. You just couldn't be bothered finding them and putting them on the other person anymore, and now it's just, it is what it is. So
Ah.
make sure that the walls go all the way up, um, if you wanna keep the romance. I would also say just try to, when it comes to your things and letting go of things, is to not hold on to things so tightly and to know that the experience of downsizing is freeing and it feels lovely to let go of stuff.
Mhm.
There's an amazing book called Wabi Sabi that is my favorite, and I read it all the time. It's about the Japanese way of life, in recognizing the beauty in minimalism and in having less things, and
Mhm.
living in a place that is less crowded will actually help you to have less on your mind. So it's calming in a way. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
sounds lovely. That sounds lovely. I'll have to check that book out as well.
Yeah.
Well, Madison, I think that I think that that you've been really helpful in giving us some ways of some insights into a different way of living. So, I really thank you for joining us today on the podcast and sharing that and your experiences with us, and wishing you and Jack and the new baby and Sonny the very best for the future.
Thank you, Louise. It was
All
really
right.
lovely to talk. I love all this stuff. So thank you for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to Builders Beyond Borders. If today's episode helped you feel more prepared, clearer, or more confident, share it with a mate who's planning their own build or reno. Got a question about building, renovating, or working with tradies? Send it our way. We might cover it in a future episode. And don't forget to hit follow or subscribe so you never miss the real stories, practical tips, and builder insights we've got coming your way. Everything shared on this podcast is based on our experiences and those of our guests. It's general info only. Any reliance on the information provided is done at your own risk.